News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Lisa Mateo.
Lisa, we begin with the latest on efforts to end the war in Ukraine. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says a lot of progress has been made in talks with Ukrainian officials in Geneva. President Trump has said Ukraine should accept a 28-point plan that the U.S. worked on with Russia by this Thursday, but Rubio says that date is not set in stone.
The deadline is we want to get this done as soon as possible. Obviously, we would love it to be Thursday. We'd love to, but ultimately, the important point today is that we have made substantial progress. We've really moved forward. So I feel very optimistic that we're going to get there in a very reasonable period of time very soon.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke alongside Ukraine Chief of Staff Andriy Yermak after drafting what they call an updated and refined framework document on peace. Bloomberg's Oliver Crook reports more work may need to be done to get Ukraine on board.
There's really been a lot of pushback, particularly from the European side, to basically not give any additional territory than the Russians control right now. There has been this push from the United States to give the entirety of the Donbass to the Russians, which they do not currently control. That is one of the points that really pushes back. But really, the most sort of relevant point and the most important point for the Ukrainians is around this idea of security guarantees.
Bloomberg's Oliver Crook reports Ukraine's looking for protection from the U.S. along the lines of NATO's Article 5 Mutual Defense Clause. In a social media post this morning, President Trump wrote, quote, "Is it really possible that big progress is being made in peace talks between Russia and Ukraine? Don't believe it until you see it, but something good just may be happening. God bless America," end quote.
Well, back in Washington, Nathan, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says President Trump is focused on bringing costs down for Americans.
We believe health care is going to come down. We will see an announcement this coming week on that. And so across the board, prices are starting to come down.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent appeared on NBC's Meet the Press. That's heard every Sunday right here on Bloomberg Radio. President Trump has urged Republicans to come up with a plan by January 30th to address health insurance premiums that are set to spike when subsidies expire at the end of the year. Politico reports the White House is expected to announce a 2-year extension to the subsidies, along with new income caps to qualify for the tax credits and minimum premium payments.
Turning to markets now, Lisa. Futures are mostly higher as we kick off a holiday-shortened trading week. Stocks rallied on Friday on optimism the Fed may cut rates next month. Phil Blancato, chief market strategist at Osaic, is still cautious.
Valuations are too pricey, and some of the economic data, the unknowns, have put us in this very wobbly market. So I think we're in for a bit more volatility, especially with some of the dates not lining up as to when we're going to get new data and when the next Fed meeting is. So sadly, we're feeling like 2018 again. And for those who don't remember, 2018, December, it was a very difficult month.
Osaic's Phil Blancato there. The S&P 500 is down 3.5% in November.
Well, despite the recent pullback, Morgan Stanley remains bullish on stocks. Strategist Mike Wilson says near-term weakness offers an opportunity to add long exposure into 2026. He says the end of the correction is nearer than its beginning. Wilson notes that despite a 5% drop in the S&P 500, 2/3 of the largest 1,000 stocks by market cap have seen more than 10% drawdown.
And this trading week, Lisa, is going to bring us some key earnings. We get a preview of those from Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet.
We'll be hearing from several more retailers, including Best Buy, Dick's Sporting Goods, and Kohl's. Those reports come amid broader market concerns about stretched valuations. Cameron Dawson is Chief Investment Officer at New Edge Wealth.
At the end of the day, we have an environment where earnings estimates for 2025 and 2026 continue to climb higher. So we think as long as we're making new highs in those earnings estimates, it does support stocks to broadly move higher, not without some chop and volatility as we're experiencing now.
Also reporting this week, Workday, Dell, HP Inc., and Zscaler in New York. Charlie Pellet, Bloomberg Radio.
Thank you, Charlie. Well, now to the latest on cryptocurrencies as we begin the new trading week. Right now, Bitcoin down more than 2% at just above 85,000. In President Trump's second term, crypto assets have transformed his family's wealth. However, the family are getting a crash course in the wild volatility associated with digital currencies. Bloomberg's Tiwa Adebayo reports.
Shares of the president's Bitcoin hoarding social media company are near an all-time low, and the value of a Trump-branded meme coin has fallen by about a quarter since August. According to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, the recent losses are all part of a broader crypto crash that's wiped nearly $1 billion from the first family's fortune since early September. The Trumps own a growing portfolio of crypto ventures, including intricate deals that go beyond straight bets on the value of digital currencies. But it's retail investors who back Trump-linked projects that stand to lose the most from the drawdown. For example, any speculator who bought Trump's meme coin at its peak on Inauguration weekend would have lost almost the entire value of their investment by this month. Despite the challenges, Eric Trump, the president's second-born son, has repeatedly urged investors to double down. In London, Tiwa Adebayo, Bloomberg Radio.
And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
I'm Lisa Mateo, and this is Bloomberg.